lockdown and limited access to stuff, sometimes you gotta be quick and beat the crowd. So it's 8:38 in the morning for me. In 20 minutes, that supermarket opens, and I luckily live right across the street. So let's do this quick and get it over with, and move on to the next day. So what I'm thinking about this market is that it seems to sound in the media like everyone's bearish, which means the market is probably gonna screw everyone over right now, short term at least. I am still longer term bearish as well, and I think a lot of people, especially in the retail space, are trying to be smart, is trying to buy the dip, and that's what we see now. Sometimes in stuff like Amazon, where it's like, what the hell? I don't know if there's any news. If you heard any, or if you've, I don't read the news too much, but if there's news that I've missed, let me know in the comments. But it's just insane what's going on right here in this. We see this in other stuff as well. Tesla is popping out of nowhere the last 2 days, and I see this a little bit as FOMO buying and short squeezing and all that stuff that's going on when volatility is as high as it is. Looking at the market, let's look at SPX first. We are still inside the expected move. We did exactly what I was kind of looking at yesterday. We closed over, we dipped back into the kill, and now we are taking off. I am targeting 28.81, and then for real targets, I'm looking at ES, and here we got all the beautiful levels. 28, what's that, 75 kind of area, that's probably the next target area that we could look at. And then above, 2900 is, of course, like the round ones are always a target, but above 2960, that's kind of the next kind of big level that I see, based on these are my levels, but also mixed with some of ATG's levels. So should be decent. Short-term bullish, in stuff like this, I am not gonna hold anything for too long, and as long as this kind of trend line isn't broken, I am not taking any large shorts. I have, as I told you guys today into the close, I have not taken the overnight short because we didn't pop high enough for me to justify that. Just short-term trades at the moment for me. Just also another thing that I've mentioned into the close today is look at the volume. When we bring up the average volume here and look at that, it's been below average ever since this retracement started. I'm not gonna call it you could call it a pop. It's probably a bit too big for a pop, but it's been below average for this whole time, and it's almost back to the levels that we've had before, and that to me is a sign of a flag and not a recovery. Long term, as I said, I am going to remain bearish until there's a vaccine. That's the other thing that I think people are missing, and it's like I'm not a doctor, and I don't have all the medical knowledge, but common sense is that if there's people sick and you lift restrictions on mobility, then people are going to get sick again. People are going to get each other sick again. And as much as you Americans love your freedom and no one's going to tell you what you can do, I think at this moment you would do well listening to what people are telling you. That's just my opinion. But So what that means, though, if people are going to keep getting sick, is that there is going to be a second and maybe a third wave of the virus, and there's more lockdowns, more economic impact, which is then going to be reflected in the market. I am almost I don't want to say I'm certain, because you're never certain in the markets, but I think this is not over yet. So I'm going to go over my watch list first, and then at the end I'm going to do a quick demo on scanning, because some people asked about what scans I use or how I use them. So I'll go over that real quick. Roku kind of did what I was talking about yesterday, except it did it a bit too extreme. So like if you had courage, you could have bought into this dip, but I think it would have been a tough sell, because what I would have probably wanted is like a proper retest of the 100 level and then go for it to go. But now it's back over like this very significant level here that we had from this consolidation here. So yeah, probably short-term bullish as well. Just watch for overextension. I think like chasing is never a good idea. Twilio, that's one of the short ideas, the few short ideas. It's always easy to make long calls when the market trend is up, but this one I find quite interesting short. Just the way it tried to get over the upper celt, it tried to get into this resistance kind of area, and it failed in a sense that it closed under. It tried to get all the way up, and even though the candle is green, I think we might see a retracement. It's also the 100 level here. I keep forgetting that. So my retracement and the gap close in the next few days. So 96, 95 kind of level as a target for like a short-term short. Next one, Stitch Fix. This one, funny enough, popped up on my upper celt scan, but to be honest, like for the next days, this could actually be, like this, if this opens fairly flat tomorrow and retraces into the upper celt, then of course take the long, take it into 18, something like that. But I think just looking at how significant this level is here around this 18, how support should turn into resistance here. This could also be an interesting short, unless this is just a false breakdown and this is gonna keep going up after this. Like that could be the other thesis, that this is just a flush and it's I guess in intraday trading I call it a stuff move, and so it might just recover and head back up if the market keeps going as well. So just be careful. Everything at the moment, trade small, trade responsibly, and in general, short term perhaps a long into 18. Then medium term, I could see this also with the lower celt here. Could see this being a decent short into earnings as well. AMD, insanity. Like it's crazy how some of these stocks are going, and that what I want to bring up here is like stuff like this. To me, that just looks like FOMO. Everyone's freaking buying in like crazy. They're not thinking. There was an article today, I didn't read it, but there's something about people buying SPC, and they're not even, like, they don't even know what they're trying to trade a different stock, and they mix up the ticker or something like that. So that's like hysteria. So I hope you guys who took this one long, congratulations, but I hope you took some profits, because this stuff, as I keep telling you guys, it was the same thing way back when bonds were going crazy. This stuff, it might keep going for a while, but it's always going to come back down hard. So take the profits when you have them. I don't have to show you all those charts. They all look the same. Parabola, and then it freaking drops like a stone. So just be careful and don't chase. How about next one? I think this could be interesting because China is doing better than a lot of other places in the world are doing. So buy the retrace into the upper celt and then perhaps a long from there. Nvidia, let me look at the time. 12 minutes left. Nvidia, another one that popped over the upper celt and is right knocking at this 285 resistance here. So perhaps a retrace into the 4-hour upper celt in that 279 kind of area would also coincide with the daily upper celt. Long there for the gap close, definitely interesting as well. eBay, I pointed this one out yesterday. It reached that second level that I've been looking at for like a tier 2 short mean reversion kind of trade. So this one I would definitely be interested in a short here for a move back into 34, which would then likely also be the upper celt by then. Intel, same, like the tech stuff is going again, chips are going, so Intel of course is on that list as well. Closed over upper celt, nice little like little curl here, open over the upper celt, retrace into upper celt for the long entry, and then perhaps gap close here. And lastly, McDonald's. I'm testing out this strategy here. Ignore that. Same thing. This one also has like a nice, like a resistance level ahead here that that could be interesting if we break with a target into the 190 area or 200, of course, which would also be the 200 SMA. Now, let's look at scans real quick. So what I keep saying to you guys is that I have certain scans and I have them here on the left. So what I have, I have my indexes, of course, my lists. I got my perma watch list. Then I always have like my daily list where I put together my stocks for my watch list. Then I have a few scans that I've put together in the scan tab over here. That you can load them as a watch list, and then it will populate. So what I have is mostly, I have more, but these are the ones that I'm looking at the most, and that's like just our setups. So a bullish MA cross, and then a close over the 14 MA. So this is like when the 14 crosses over or under the 30. This is when the stock closes over or under the 14, and these are upper or lower celt shorts or long. So the setups are quite simple actually. So where I scan is the category I use where is it? Public, weeklies. That means like that it only surges in underlyings that have weekly options, which means they are liquid enough. Then this is stuff that I'm kind of setting for myself. I don't want to trade anything below $20. I want it to have at least 1 million average volume, and then like the real magic. It's not much that I'm doing in here is in this one. So you have 1 million studies here, right, that you could scan for, and you guys feel free to go nuts in there and scan for stuff. But what I am doing here is where are you? Sorry, 1 second. Here you are. So what I'm doing here is what I'm scanning for is a close that crosses below the lower celt, the lower band of our Keltner channel. So with that, and so that's what it looks for. That's all that is, I want the close. You can, price. You got all these kind of variables in here. You can put all kinds of stuff. You can put functions in there, all the kinds of studies, all the studies that we have, and you can if else, put if else variables in between. If this, then that. Kind of stuff, it's if you've been coding, you know what I'm talking about. But basically here, you can measure the put in the other value. I put in the Keltner channels here because that's what we work with. I have our variables, our values in here. Here you can put in which one of the three bands that you want to use, and that then it turns it into a piece of code that the software then ends up using. So from there, you save it as a scan query, and then you can load it as a watch list here, and that's what this brings. So as you see, like, we have quite a few uppercut longs here at the moment. So these are all the stocks that come up from this scan. There's lots of ETFs. There's just a lot of stuff. So you might want to look at each. I mean, if you want to flip through them, you link them here, right? I link the thing to them, and then you can go through each and every stock and look at like what they're doing. So CAG might be an opportunity here. Let me see what we have here. Facebook, for example. Facebook closed over the upper Celt here today. Probably interesting for, I'm not gonna call them out all for you guys when I'm doing my outlook. I'm picking a few that I like, but with this scan, basically you can look at all the stuff, like all the ETFs. This is an interesting one because it just barely closes over, and I think I talked about this yesterday. What you probably would want here is like a gap up, then a retrace, and then for it to go. But yeah, the list is long, and this is like for all of these, but on the other hand, some stuff you might want to ignore. For example, the only lower Celt shorts that we have are the volatility products, because volatility is, especially volatility contracts as a range, even if it stays bid a little bit, the volatility ETFs, because of the drag that they have built in, they are going to start selling off. So stuff like that you might want to ignore unless you find like a way to justify an entry here. Yeah, so we have like bull cross, stocks that cross over the 14 MA while the 14 is under the 30. But this, this here, I don't like, because the distance to the 30 is not big enough. So I would have likely wanted to take this one for a long into the 30, which would have actually been profitable, just about barely, but would have been. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Then we have like bear crosses, so there's again stuff you don't want to trade, stuff like that, some of those ETFs. And then of course we have tons of bull crosses, bullish MA crosses. In the text, for example, like the MA is crossing over here today. So that's what this scan is doing, and you can put that all together in the scans quite easily once you have done a bit of practicing. So that's that, guys. I have 3 minutes left. I hope you liked the video. Please like the video if you liked it, if it added value to you. If you have comments, please put them in the comment section. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Let me know what you think of the new, of the music, of the format. We are trying to, make stuff a bit more professional. Bear with us as we figure things out. Stuff is coming. I've been spending all day today doing graphics for lesson 6 of 10, and I'm gonna record lesson 1 and 2 very soon. And so things are coming. Good work today. I know some of you guys are doing really well. Some of you guys might start to get it. Thanks for your trust. Thanks for sticking with us. As always, guys, it's a pleasure being with you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.